This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by British champion Ted Cheeseman out here at the new Matchroom gym. Ted, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thanks. You, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's good to catch up. Good to come down here for the first time. New surroundings for yourself as well. How are you finding kind of the new gym?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice to, obviously every time everyone talks about like old spit and sawdust gyms and stuff, but I think it's nice to have a nice gym, nice showers, nice toilets, spacious area. You know what I mean, it's a good environment.
I just asked, well, kind of brought it up rather when I was speaking to him, just kind of coming into the new gym, it can make people feel a bit more re-energised and kind of a new lease of life. Is that how you'd kind of sum it up as well?
Yeah, definitely, because obviously it's the same journey every day, same place you're going to every day. Sometimes it's nice just to have a change of scenery. Obviously we'll get used to it in a couple of weeks, but then hopefully it's just it's better surroundings with the windows by the ring, and you can see out into the fields, the horses and that. It's nice surroundings.
Ted, I'm going to ask, can we get somebody to turn that clock off? Is that okay?
Can we press the red button, mate?
Perfect, cheers, thank you. Obviously, Ted, just kind of come and loop to yourself now. What is the latest with the Troy Williamson fight? Obviously, we saw the British Boxing Board of Control put that out to purse bids.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for purse bids on July the 14th, and then we'll see when my date is from then. But we're just waiting for that. Obviously, it would have been nice to get out before that, but it don't look like that's going to happen now. And I'm just staying in the gym, ticking over, ready for a date.
With it going to purse bids, just before then, were there any talks about trying to get the fight on, whether it had been with Matchroom or with Frank?
Not really, because I just think straight away, as soon as it's like a Frank or Eddie fighter against each other, there's never really going to be no negotiations between them. It's more whoever is going to have the bigger ego and bid the biggest bid.
So under the assumption, obviously, with Eddie being your promoter, let's say Eddie wins it, has he told you as to when he would like to put the fight on?
I think, I ain't going to say exact dates, but I think likely September. But you never know, it's just, things change every day. Obviously, earlier on in the year, I obviously thought I would have been back out on fight camp, and I wasn't. So until it's fully confirmed, you don't really know, you just got to wait.
I talked about Troy, Ted, once this is kind of all settled and you do have a date and you're working towards that. What do you make of Troy as a fighter?
Yeah, he's a good fighter. I don't think as a pro he's that experienced. And obviously, I just think, again, like I said with the James Metcalf fight, he's a good fighter. Troy's a good fighter like James was, but I just think the experience will count here. You know what I mean? There's nothing that he really brings to the table that I'm super worried about. By the looks of it, he's a big puncher or whatever. But I think I say it to everyone is when you get to this sort of level, British title level, every fight's hard. Do you know what I mean? You got to respect every opponent. There's no point of slagging each other off. You get in the ring, do the business. Whoever comes out a better man on the night, that's what happens. But obviously, in the sport we're in, you have to have a lot of self-belief, and I believe I'll do the business on the night.
What should rather people expect when the pair of you are in the ring? How are you expecting the fight to play out?
I don't know, because the thing is, as I said when I said against James Metcalf, you don't know what fight is going to turn up, because I think with me, before everyone had that one assumption of Ted's going to come forward and chase after me, do you know what I mean? And I think now, where I'm boxing, fighting, mixing it up, they don't really know what to train for, so they sort of get in there. In the first few rounds, they want to feel it out and see how it's going. But as in my last fight, you can see I can change from boxing to fighting when I need to, and that's all the experience I've had. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of tough fights, and I've fought a lot of high caliber domestic opponents. So all that experience counts, and it would have been nice to get another defence in before Troy, and then maybe won it outright against Troy. But now, obviously, not looking past Troy. But as long as I beat Troy, there's going to be some big fights out there, past probably domestic level.
I was about to ask you, do you imagine if you were successful against Troy, you'll move beyond looking to win the British title outright?
Yeah, listen, every fighter would love to win a British title outright, but when you come to the sport, you have a goal. Whatever pushes you closer to achieving that goal, you have to do. And obviously, how things have panned out, by beating Troy, that'll be another notch. It won't be winning it outright. So I've had a lot of tough fights and good fights at British level, the fights I've needed to improve myself as a fighter. And I think I just need to get this win against Troy and then hopefully push on.
I spoke to Liam Smith, it was probably about a week and a half ago, and I mentioned kind of the domestic scene. If whilst he's waiting to get one of those big fights like he wants himself, would he face one of you guys? And he said that he's openly asked Eddie about a fight with you potentially. Is that something you've considered? Somebody like a Liam Smith who has been a world champion before, competed at world level?
Yeah, definitely. But what happens is when you push past this level, you either pick the right fights or you get very meaningful fights. And if it's a very meaningful fight, obviously I'd love to take that fight, but if it is not, if it's just a fight for nothing, it's not really worth it. You know what I mean? It's got to be a calculated risk. Do you get what I mean? And fights with the likes of Liam Smith are tough fights, and to take them, there's got to be something there pulling you in for it.
Just kind of moving away from himself, one fight which could involve you as an eliminator for that British title, Fowler Eggington, British Box Board of Control, again ordering that. What are your thoughts if we were to see it?
I really hope we do see the fight, because obviously, look, Fowler, the fight with Fowler is getting mentioned a lot, but I don't think people sometimes give me the credit I deserve, as in I've took fight after fight after fight, hard fight, and they want Fowler to fight a couple of foreign abroad fighters who ain't even unbeaten, make it look half decent on paper, get good wins against them, and then think that he deserves a shot against me. You get what I mean? He pulled out of eliminators before and stuff, and now he's got to eliminate against Sam Eggington. Let's see how good he really is. I took these fights when I was on a two-loss streak, a loss and a draw and a loss. You know what I mean? So he's in a winning streak. Let's see how good he is when he fights the likes of Sam Eggington, someone who stands up and when it gets tough, keeps going.
I was going to say, in the meantime, obviously Anthony is fighting Roberto Garcia. What do you make of that fight?
Listen, Roberto Garcia is a tough fighter, but he's been beat by Liam Smith and Martin Murray a few years ago. And again, like I say, people are saying, oh, it's a tough fight for Fowler or whatever, but it's not. It ain't proving nothing. He's been beat by good British fighters before. If he beats him, he's expected to beat him. If Fowler don't beat him, something's gone wrong. If he wins, he wins. Everyone's expecting him to win.
Ted, Scott, you just want to get your thoughts on a couple of your campmates. We saw Conor Benn down here today. He's obviously headlining the first fight camp show of the return of fight camp against Adrian Granados. Firstly, what do you make of that fight?
Yeah, it's a really good fight. Adrian Granados keeps coming and tries hard, but I believe Conor's coming on a lot in the gym. He's learnt a lot from when he was his early pro days, and I believe that he'll do the business again, similar to the way he dealt with Vargas against Granados.
Obviously, the gym at the minute, it's been on a brilliant run of wins. I just want to get your thoughts on kind of one man who unfortunately was not successful, Martin Ward out in Las Vegas. Just your thoughts on his defeat.
I think I was watching the fight and Martin was doing really well. It was quite a close fight. Then he had that injury with the knee, plus Fazil started stepping his pace up, and I think Fazil looked like a really, really good fighter. Obviously, we can never know the real truth, because Martin looked like he hurt his knee, but we're going to see how good Fazil is next time when he fights. And I think before that, I watched Fazil fight Rakhimov, and I think he sort of bashed Rakhimov up for 11 rounds until Rakhimov knocked him out. So he is a really good fighter. He just got knocked out by another good fighter who he was beating. He was unlucky. That means to get caught late on. Otherwise, he'd clearly won the fight. But listen, Martin's won everything other than a world title. So if I can go and doing that in the sport and I get a chance for a world title eliminator and stuff, I'll be happy and proud of it. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we don't know what Martin's doing. He may fight again, he may not. But whatever he chooses to do, if he left boxing today, he should be proud of whatever he's achieved in the sport.
Right, Ted, we will leave it there now, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, thanks a lot, Andi.